What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. Happy Monday, everybody. Okay, so something just dropped that we need to talk about, and it comes from the Soul Foundation. If you guys have been wondering what has Colonel Karl Nell been doing, this is it. The Soul Foundation just released a white paper with his name on it, where he is essentially proposing for the UAPDA to pass at the end of 2025. But there's already issues with it that I think a contributor from the Debrief, Mr. Sean Munger, spoke about back in April when he proposed a well regulated UAP industry with what he calls the UAP Registration Act. And this ties into the main issue of this disclosure movement that is taking place right now. Let's go back to when I spoke to Mr. John Burroughs, who had a unique inside perspective into what could potentially be going on. There's a lot of people involved in the UAP disclosure movement, the controlled one, who seem to have conflicts of interest. They seem to have a clearance, so they can't really talk about everything they're doing as it relates to UFO disclosure. And they just don't want for other narratives to take place besides the one that they're supporting. And that is a major issue that anybody who even tries to talk against them in any way is either shamed, blocked, and in some cases, even harassed or doxxed. Those are extreme cases that trail back to the UFO Twitter war that I've mentioned to you guys sometimes, that I really don't want to get into because it gets really nasty, it gets really horrible. And that's another battle for people who are currently going through it. And I completely support anybody who's been suffering from all of these horrible acts because it's truly horrible. But when we're talking about the people at the top involved in the UFO disclosure movement, we have to talk about people like Karl Nell. We have to talk about people like Lou Elizondo, Christopher Mellon, Dr. Gary Nolan, Dr. Eric Davis, Jay Stratton, Jim Lakatsky, all of the people that are pro disclosure, but also pro government. And this is where the problem lies because the reason that the UAPDA did not pass back in 2023, and it wasn't even presented in 2024, is because of things like, for example, eminent domain. And Sean Munger does have a good point here, and I'm going to show you guys. This is what he says right after the Soul Foundation released the paper from Karl Nell titled The UFO Enigma, A Call for U.S. Government Disclosure. Sean, who proposed this UAP Registration Act back in April, he said, do you want to give the authority to keep NHI classified indefinitely to a legislatively created, executively appointed, Senate confirmed governing control group? Because this is how you do it. And naturally, he doesn't agree with it because it has many different issues. Right here below, he says, if you believe having a group of people similar to the alleged Majestic 12 advising the executive branch on how to handle the NHI issue, then UAPDA is for you. And no, I do not want that. That is exactly what we're fighting against. That is exactly the type of control that the government should not have when it comes to UFO transparency or whatever these alleged bodies and craft are and whatever this new technology is. The idea is to release, yes, if there are dangers for humanity with potentially this technology or whatever the DNA of these bodies is, if there is any danger, yeah, there should be some sort of control system, but the truth needs to come out as is. It cannot be controlled again, especially by government entities. And as you guys know, the Soul Foundation blocked me. I can't comment or react to anything they do on Twitter because of what I said previously about them when they rolled out this a tier system of members. But I can't see their tweets, and I am going to talk about them. So this is what they release. Sol is extremely proud to publish its newest policy paper, the UFO Enigma, a call for U.S. government disclosure. Is our friend and colleague Colonel Karl Nell's case for why Congress should pass the UAP Disclosure Act in 2025. Nell identifies the historic role the legislation could play in solving a problem of world historical importance while advocating for a position important to the Sol Foundation. We're excited to share Karl's remarkable work with you, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts. And then this is from April, Sean Munger's proposal on the debrief. He said the UAP conversation needs a real path forward, not just speculation or seizures. I propose the UAP Registration Act, a framework to regulate NHI technologies transparently while respecting national security and IP rights. So I'm going to show you essentially the one part of Karl Nell's white paper that I think people need to pay attention to, which is this right here. Page 17, recommendations from Karl Nell. I'm just going to read these 6 that he proposes and see if you can identify where it doesn't really work and why Sean Munger doesn't agree with this. Karl Nell says Congress should take up and pass the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Disclosure Act in 2025, amended to include the following explicit compensatory process consistent with the foregoing analysis, under the sole condition that any private sector person and entity who is the controlling authority of a technology of unknown origin cooperates fully with the intent of the Disclosure Act and the instructions of the review board. Number 1, the government shall award a grace period of specified finite duration during which there will be no immediate change to the disposition of the subject material. Number 2, the government shall reimburse the private sector person or entity for expenses incurred in the recovery, storage, and protection of the subject material, plus an appropriate finder's fee. Number 3, the private sector person or entity shall retain ownership of all intellectual property created as a result of private examination of the subject material completed prior to the date of enactment of the Disclosure Act. Number 4, upon voluntary application and approval, the private sector person of entity shall receive an appropriate grant to exclusively conduct foreign material exploitation or reverse engineering of the subject material during the grace period. Number 5, any intellectual property resulting from work under this grant shall be co-owned but with the government, and the private sector person or entity shall retain any applicable commercialization rights. And number 6, upon conclusion of the grace period, the government shall make the subject material available to a competitively selected consortium formed in response to a fair and open competition for further scientific and technological investigation. Let's look at this from the standpoint of all of these disclosure people preaching that we need to leave the materialistic paradigm. And this is something that I repeated many times already. This framework that Colonel Karl Nell is proposing is still within the capitalist model. And although I know that it will be impossible to leave the capitalist model, I think that competition amongst nations and these entities that are private has been one of the main issues why we haven't gotten any transparency on the topic and why the oversight problem is the biggest one, in my opinion. Because if these technologies exist, if these companies do have functioning ARVs and they've had it, the people need to know what they've been doing with it for decades. And this is something that I did not see in Karl Nell's proposal or white paper. And I think that there needs to be like a checks and balances kind of situation where these companies or government entities that have gone rogue and have kept this material for so long need to come clean of what they've been doing with it. Because whatever they've been doing, if they have been going off planet, presumably to colonize other places, they've been presumably doing it in the name of the people from Earth. And what if their practices haven't been ethical at all? And I know I'm going a little bit too far there because we still haven't confirmed if any of this is happening at all, but you can see how they're preparing the framework for the government to have at least half of the control, and for these entities who may have been breaking the law for decades to get a pass. And I don't think that's a good idea. Also, if we can't overcome capitalism, I would say that maybe a form of like a democratic capitalism could be enforced here, and that way we don't have to leave this capitalist model, which I really don't agree with to start with. I think that there are other models that help societies further than the current model does. But yeah, this is essentially what Karl Nell is proposing. This governing body, this panel of people who make the final call, will be like 9 people, I think. And they're the ones that are making the decisions, not the people. And I don't think that's fair. And a lot needs to happen before any of this is even considered for approval. You can be damn sure that whatever Karl Nell is proposing here, it won't be received well by a lot of people. I already see many problems with it, but I'm going to leave it in the description for you guys so you can check it out for yourselves. It's not really that long. And just let me know what you think about it. What are the pros and cons that you see in it? Do you agree with what I'm telling you? Do you agree with what Sean is telling you? I'm going to leave Sean's proposal from April in the description as well so you can check it out and see that there needs to be better regulation of this, way better than what Karl Nell is proposing. Let me know if you agree or not. If you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you can get notified when a new video drops. If you want to support the channel in any other way, I'm going to leave a few links in the description. You can also become a member if you like, or you can also support us on the KGRA website. Anything you choose to do is always appreciated, so thank you. And that's it for me today on this video, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Remember, stay curious and inquisitive. Always. Bye.